Welcome to AFL Uncensored. I'm your host, Teej Johannesson, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Omari Fraser. Omari, we have, obviously, this podcast is made for this, and breaking news is hopefully the stuff that we're trying to get our hands on. And now I have pretty intimate knowledge of today's breaking news, which is going to rock the AFL, definitely. And most people will be happy about this. I know the Bucs and myself are not super happy about it for our chances, but we're gonna dive into it. And so it is with great sadness that I have confirmed that Brandon Lay will not be playing for the Bucs this year. He has decided for some personal reasons to take the year off and spend it with his family. I'm not going to go into any detail on that. If he wants to come onto the podcast one day, we'd obviously love to have him and speak about the impact he's had on the league and other things as well. But yeah, that's the news that got brought down this week, and I've cleared it with Brandon that we can talk about it on the podcast, and as he's told the people that he's wanted to tell. And so, for the Bucs moving forward, we've got to kind of regroup, and we're gonna discuss that as it so happens, because like I've said in previous podcasts, the breaking news for each team seems to happen on the weeks that we are having these teams on our podcast. So Omari, I actually did not discuss this with you beforehand because I wanted this to be kind of a surprise for you. So what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, that's that's a big loss, just with with everything that you guys got brewing and like what the league perceives as what each team's bringing. I'm sure everyone was preparing for Brandon because he definitely brings a deep threat in his passing attack and everything. Like, that's the one thing where I'll have to give Brandon, like, he's the nicest deep ball I've ever seen. Like,
yeah,
that's definitely one thing where it's nice to be on offense where I'm like, man, like, that guy can rip it. Like, I know one of the guests that we have on from the team, I have many memories of him like seeing the ball and it's like seeing him downfield, and I'm like, okay, that's a really nice ball. You got to give it that. And especially when you guys go into 2023 the season and prepping for, like, that's a big piece of the offense. And it's not great to prep for, but you guys do have time to reorganize, recalibrate, find someone new. Someone might be hearing this on the podcast when they listen to it and say, hey, you know what, like, maybe they want to come out of the woodwork and be that, maybe I'm not saying replacement, but a piece of the puzzle for you guys. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys do. You guys got a lot of great minds of football in Red Deer, and if you guys want to go heavy run attack or keep to the pass, you guys got athletes around and good team culture. So it's shocking to hear, but that's also the beautiful thing about men's is he wanted to take time to be with his family. As much as I'm sure it sucks not have him, it's a beautiful thing where he has the option to do that and to take the time away. And we're all grown adults here at this point.
Yeah, and I can personally attest to the deep balls running underneath of those, and a little bit in 2018, and then a lot in 2021. And I agree with you. The best natural arm that I've experienced live, and that's not, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. That just is what it is. And I'm speaking about not even just as a receiver, but as a DB and having to go against him in practice when I would play DB, and the throws he would make when you think you have good coverage and then all of a sudden it's coming back shoulder and you don't even have time to react. And that's the things he does to DB. So I know there's a lot of happy DBs out there today, and people kind of breathing a sigh of relief because that levels the quarterback playing field a little bit. Now we have a situation where Cold Lake doesn't have their, all-star stud quarterback coming back. And now the Bucs don't have their, every year he's played MVP caliber quarterback coming back. And I think, for the Bucs moving forward, and we'll get into this a little bit on the podcast with our guests, but we do have a young guy, and he's actually a kid that I was fortunate enough to coach since he was in grade 8 here in Sylvan Lake. And and his name is Brett Bilsma, and he's got a cannon of an arm. He's a really good athlete. He's a phenomenal kid, extremely coachable. And we actually, the head coach of the Bucs, who's with us today as well, has coached him for a number of years as well, and so in the Sylvan Lake program. So I'm personally really excited to. It's a pretty once in a lifetime experience to be able to play with and catch passes from a kid that you coached since he was 12 years old. So, and we have a pretty strong relationship. We always have, and we'll continue to have that. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to move on. I will be honest with you. I felt like, Brandon did send a message to me and it was really heartfelt and genuine. And I felt for like a day that I just got broken up with. Like I felt that kind of sadness because we'd been working out at the Dome and throwing together a lot over the last month or so. And it was sad. It was sad. But I know that he's doing what's best for him and his family. And he has my full support. And I know he has the Bucs full support as well. And in making that decision, he's sacrificed a lot for our team. So we appreciate him and respect him a lot.
Absolutely. And all respect there. And there's going to be a moment where different guys in different situations where your family has needs you want to test your family's needs. So do what you got to do. And as well, like on the flip side now, to get the positive, there's an opportunity. And just think of the story now to where the athlete you coached comes in, he has a learning curve, tears it up. Like that's a great story for him to have. And there's a lot of potential for him to solidify that story of what he wants us to be. So
hell yeah.
As much as there's disappointment, there's also opportunity, and that's a beautiful thing with football.
Yeah, and he's the league needs to watch out. So I'm sure they'll remember that name, and he's going to do some good things this year. He's going to have some weapons, and we're going to talk to a couple of them today. So without further ado, let's get into the podcast today. We've got joining me the head coach of the Bucs, Geoff Rambo, the defensive coordinator of the Bucs, Ryan Miller, and all-star perennial receiver Axsivier Lawrence. Thank you guys for coming on. I'm really looking forward to doing this episode with you guys and being a part of it. Obviously, I'm going to be back with the Bucs this year as well. That's obviously been something we've talked about, no secret. So I'm really looking forward to this. So first of all, Geoff, head coach of the Bucs, I want to start with you. Kind of give us your brief football story. I know you used to be a player for the Bucs and you've been involved in coaching for a long time. So kind of give us your kind of brief football story and how it led you to where you are today.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Sylvan Lake and played minor football there. I was on the first year that we had a Bantam program in Sylvan, and we thought we were going to be amazing because we had, good. Sylvan's a hockey town predominantly, and we had a lot of good athletes that were going to play football, so we thought we were going to light it up. We went 0-7 that year. We got crushed by 50 points every time we played a Red Deer team, and I actually started out my football journey as a DB. We played two regular season games, and we had a ridiculous number of fumbles. We went through about 5 different running backs, and at that point, I got to try out playing running back, and I don't know if I was even any good to start with. I just didn't drop the football, so I got moved to running back, and that's where my football journey kind of started. I had, I think, 8 of the first 9 touchdowns that we scored that year. Moving into high school, I started as a tailback. My first year, led the team in rushing as a rookie. Grade 10 was the first winning season actually Sylvan Lake ever had. Grade 11, we won the conference championship back when the Central Alberta region was split in 2, and then in grade 12 we won a combined Central Alberta championship, and I actually led the league as a running back in receiving yards. So that's where my football journey kind of began. I went to college in Red Deer. And my dad became the head coach of the Bantam team. And so they played on Wednesday nights, and he used to have me come voluntold by my dad to come help coach. And I was playing for the Buccaneers then. Jamie Blinkhorn brought me out and played 2 years doing that. And then I transferred to the U of A, and I tried out there, barely made the team. I was basically there to get run over by the players who knew how to play football better than me. And played a couple seasons there, and while I was doing that, I was still traveling back because the games were still on Wednesdays, and I was helping my dad coach. Once I finished university, I came back and played a couple more seasons with the Buccaneers, and through that entire time, I'd been coaching in Sylvan. So I've been a offensive coordinator and a head coach at the Pee Wee level, the Bantam level, and the high school level at different times with different positions. I've won provincial championships with 2 of the 3 levels, and league championships with all of them. And in 2020, going into the COVID year, I was obviously have some connections to the Central Alberta Buccaneers through playing and coaching against some of the guys who play on that team. The Buccaneers have been pretty successful at having coaches that get out in the community and get involved. And I know lots of the AFL teams do the same, but Red Deer is really well represented in the minor programs. And so I was recommended, interviewed, and came in the 2021 season. And I will say playing with Brandon obviously made things pretty easy to be a head coach. He can run the offense very well, and he'll be missed obviously, but it allows a different opportunity for our team this year with Brett Bilsma coming back and going into a second year with a lot stronger roster around him. I know last year on our team, and I speak very highly of Brett because when I became a head coach of the Bantam program in Sylvan in 2018, he was my quarterback on that team, and that was the first year that the Bantam Lions in Sylvan actually won a league championship. So I'm pretty tight with Brett in terms of a player-coach relationship, and it's kind of grown into kind of a friendship as well, playing and coaching with him now. So that's a bit of my football journey, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get into some things, but that's the Cole's note.
Yeah, and it's for me. I was saying this to you the other day, Geoff, when we were at our indoors. Is it's kind of like we're got a lot of Sylvan Lakers on the team that have those connections, and I think it's kind of the fruit of some labor that has been put in, and especially by yourself over the years, and being in the community, and now coaching the Bucs, and people knowing you and knowing about the Bucs. So really important. Let's go to Ryan. Let's go to you next. Let's talk about a little bit about yourself, your football story, and kind of what led you to be the defensive coordinator this year.
Yeah, so I grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario. Started playing football, I think I was 10 or 11. My whole hockey team, we just decided to join the one summer. Played with it through high school, played the Niagara Spheres travel team. Went out to Vancouver, played for the Vancouver Trojans after high school for 1 year. Got Defensive Rookie of the Year for them. Had a good experience out there. Loved the guys. The football wise wasn't the greatest. Didn't win a game out there. So
was that the Corey Philpott Vancouver Trojan era?
Yeah, like talent wise, like you know a couple of the guys that I played out there with. Yeah. Like, I mean, Andrew Harris was also playing at that time too, so it was a little hard to be successful. Yeah. But yeah, no, like I've got great friendships out there. But yeah, just kind of turned me off of football a little bit. Moved back to Ontario. Didn't play for a couple years, and then I think I was 22. My cousin and a couple of his buddies had played for the Steel City Patriots, the team that had just started up. So I went to practice, kind of relit the fire, and that's how I met Dave Cuthbertson. Got a really strong friendship with now. So the first 3 years of the SCP, we played strictly in the States. That was some interesting times. Good stories me and Dave could have about that.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea for a podcast episode, because I kind of want to talk about that, but that could make a whole episode of like what you guys were doing playing in the States. So that's pretty cool, because now SCP is in the
me and him, that could be a whole episode by itself.
SCP is now in the Northern Football Conference, the Ontario League, right?
Yes, and I'm not too sure exactly what's going on, but they had some stuff going on. But initially, when SCP had started, that's why we were playing in the States, because a bunch of the guys from NFC had came to that team. So when SCP did join the NFC the last year that I played there, in their first year in the league there, it seemed like the NFC already kind of had some issues with Steel City Patriots, and it just kind of carried on from there. So I guess I'm not sure exactly what the issue is with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good organization, and great guys, and had some good times. Mm-hmm. But it's 2014 was my last year with them, and just kind of decided I needed a bit of a change, and got in touch with Devin Hand, and he brought me out here, which I don't think Devo gets enough credit for the success for the Bucs for the last decade, even maybe a bit longer when he was even playing. Like, the dude's amazing. Yeah, fucking brought me out, brought Brandon out.
Yeah. So
bunch of guys that
he's been mentioned a few times on our podcast. Devin Hand was defensive coordinator, head coach. One of my favorite coaches of all time in my football career. And him and I battled really hard at times. And he is so good at, I don't want to talk about him like he's dead, because he's definitely not dead. He's alive and well, but he is, he holds people accountable. And sometimes I just hated him so much because he held me so accountable. But I owe him a lot to where I am and how I am today as a person and as a player. And so and
even aside from coaching, just him as a man himself.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, great individual. Absolutely. Big figure in the AFL. So was it him that brought you out west, or like did you come out for another reason, or was it specifically football, or what brought you out here?
Well, it's actually interesting. Richard Lush, he was the player that I played with in Hamilton, and Ryan Payne was another player that ended up coming out and playing for the Bucs for a couple of years. I was thinking about going and playing for a team in South Buffalo Celtic, and Richard Lush was driving back to be PEI and had stopped by to see me and had told me about the Bucs and how he had gotten in contact with Devo. So I kind of looked into it and sent him a little highlight tape I had put together. Just the conversations I had with Devo and like a couple of the guys, like you had reached out to me before I came out here, and just got a good feeling about it. So decided to make the trip, and it's been coming up on 8 years at the end of this month.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, it's funny. That's a Devin Hand thing too. So I remember that he actually called me up. I remember exactly where he was, and he was saying, "I got this guy coming. He's new here. Would you mind kind of texting him, making him feel welcome, and just little things that he would do, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, can." And then I did, and you and I have always really just connected and jived, and we kind of are of the same kind of thought process in life, and so I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm really excited for you to be the DC this year. So I'm excited that we're going to get into kind of your philosophy here in a bit. But yeah, thank you, Ryan, and I'm like I said, I'm excited for you. I'm glad that worked out for you, and thank you, Devin Hand, if you're listening. I hope he is. I hope Devin's listening. So I came out here, played a couple years with the Bucs, had a couple years off, and then the 2021 season, Dave Cuthbertson had gotten a hold of me and said that he was coming out here to play, and I thought I was done with football and couldn't pass up an opportunity to play with him again. So suited up and won the championship, and then took last year off, and then got in touch with Geoff because I wanted to get back involved with it, and my wife gave me the blessing because it is a big commitment. But it just so happened that we were looking for a DC, and Geoff was gracious enough to allow me that position. Yeah, and I think Geoff will agree with what I'm saying. We're very glad to have you, and I know it is. And thank you to your wife, Kirsten, who understands that this is something that is going to make you happy, and because it is a commitment, and we've talked about this on this podcast before. It's a commitment to be away from your families, and I think that's why the AFL is so special, because you have the same goal with a bunch of people who are making the same sacrifices and are making the same commitments, and there's something special about that. So I'm looking forward to
and she had met me through the team, through Ian Ketch and his wife, so she's known as being involved with
there
football.
You go. The AFL is getting
it's nice that I'm able to continue it in this capacity.
The AFL is creating marriages. It's great.
I'm telling you, man.
It's great. Xavier, go ahead, your story.
My football story is a little original, a little different. It all started actually when I got fired from Canadian Tire when I was 15.
Okay.
And my parents were like, you gotta do something. So my coach, Gary LaGrange, he's actually a cousin of mine. He said, hey, come try out for the football team. So I did in my grade 11 year, and, I wasn't really good. Kind of rode pine, got a lot of offside penalties when I was in the game, but I stuck with it. I kept on working. And the next year I played DB and a little bit of receiver, actually. And ultimately they decided that I would have a better opportunity at making it into junior if I played receiver. So I transitioned and played a couple of years junior before ultimately deciding to walk away from football. And Todd Lewis, I'm sure he's listening. He was dating my best friend's sister. Like, he was like kind of like dating one of her friends, and he knew that I had kind of played football, so he had sent me a message and said, hey, do you want to come play the Bucs? And I remember I showed up, and Ty, at that time, you were like the only other like all-star receiver kind of DB. And I was like, I'm not playing for this team, man. Like we weren't good at that in 2014. Like we were really bad. And it was like such a jarring shock going from junior and how well it was set up and coached. I was like, I'm not playing, but Devo messaged me, and you know what? That guy is quite the spinster. He said, I want you to come and play across DB with Ty. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And you know what? I kind of fell in love with the sport again. And then the next year I was like, okay, I want to go back to receiver. And, the rest is kind of history for me.
Yeah, it's funny. So for those that don't know, if you knew me pre 2016, everyone calls me Tyler or Ty. So Tyler's my real name. So when he's referring to Ty, he's referring to me. So not be confused. But everyone now calls me Teej ever since my wife started calling me Teej to her kids at school. And then the kids that I coach started calling me. So I've just gone with that because it's easier. But yes, anyone that knows me pre 2015, you'll hear me call me Ty. So that's totally fine. Yeah, and you know what's so funny about that first year? And Devo is a spinster in the best of ways, of course. But and we talk about this all the time, Xavier. But for the sake of the podcast, you had these shoulder pads, man, that were like triple XL lineman shoulder pads, and you were playing corner. So some of these pictures, man.
Oh, it's terrible, man. I think I was like number 37.
No, it's funny. Like 47, I think even. Yeah.
Yeah. I went through like 5 different jersey changes that first year.
Yeah, really that was so funny. Was it that year that you made that crazy catch against the Wolfpack, or was that the next year, that diving?
That was in 2015. That was with Jamie Foxx. So that was when I went back to receiver.
That was your kind of coming out party. People were like, whoa, this guy's kind of good. Let me ask you about that. So you said you weren't good in high school, but you must have still been fast, right?
I was quick. I just, obviously, when you're coaching, some kids just have, talent. It's there, but it's just not structured at all. Football, I think it's such an interesting sport. There's so many mental aspects to the game. Where you can set somebody up for 5 moves in the future, by doing certain things, certain tendencies. And I just didn't have any of those. The only knowledge I had of football was through playing the video game Madden. Right. So yeah. There was some molding that I needed to go through. And it was a really, really good year. Our high school team ended up winning the league championship. We were undefeated. So I got to learn through so many different good guys just ahead of me right on the roster.
Yeah, and you've translated that into success. Omari, go ahead.
One part of your story that you mentioned was how you came from junior to men's and the structure of I know because I came from Colt, so I understand. I get you with the structure where you got your trainers, you got this, everything's organized and set, and coming to junior and coming to men's, you're just like, oh, like part of you wants that structure still there. Yeah. But did you find that at moments that structure kind of like diluted the fun of the game, and then when you got brought to men's, the fun of the game was allowed to come out again?
That's a really good question, Omari. I think that I really didn't know what I was expecting when I kind of had followed Todd's Facebook message, but just showing up, I was just like, I don't know if I can do this, just because of it just didn't feel as organized. I was like, what league is this? It wasn't until I'd come back and given it a real opportunity that I could see that there was a lot of building blocks. Like the Buccaneers of 2023 is completely different from 2014. I think the whole league has shifted in such an upward direction. It's crazy how much talent has come through since those earlier years for me. And yeah, I would say that part of the looseness, like I'm not sure if it was the same with the Colts, but when I played for the Huskies, offense and defense, 2 different teams meeting, on Saturday or Friday night to win a game. And then Monday or Sunday back to Friday, 2 different teams again. So playing Buccaneers, it felt like it was a strong sense of family again.
Yeah, and that's huge because there's the I guess a little into the Wolfpack. There's a few people I'm working on recruiting to Wolfpack where they're coming from junior and they've fallen out of love with the game due to the structure of how junior has been, and like they like the loose. They want, like, they appreciate the looseness back when they were in high school and everything because it was more with the friends and family versus junior university where the structure is good because it's there for a reason, but it's just some players thrive with that looseness.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's different. It's a transition, but it's a healthy transition. I think
that's a cool point, Omari, and I think that's a perspective maybe we don't always get, because I know for me, coming from junior and going to the Bucs, at first I hated it because I was so used to going to practice and meetings and film and all this stuff, and it was such an automatic. And so when you come to the Bucs and you're like, wait, it's only 2 days a week. Oh, and we're not watching film on Fridays. I kind of hated it, and then I really began to love it, especially as I got older and wanted my summers to have a little more time. So I think that's what's beautiful about it.
That's
Geoff,
huge.
I want to ask you. So I think this is, and we'll get onto some Buck stuff here in a second, but this is an important question I want to ask you because you have a unique perspective that I don't think many people have. I don't have. Coaching men versus coaching kids. What are your main differences? Are you doing anything differently when you're coaching kids to when you're coaching men? What are you thinking about, when you're alone and planning stuff? Like, is it different? What are you feeling? Kind of explain that a little bit to people, because I think that's a cool perspective.
First, I just want to say, like, we can practice 5 days a week, Teej, but you'd get to golf.
Oh yeah,
less.
I'm good now. I'm totally good now. I want to golf.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess fundamentally, obviously, there's a lot of differences between coaching men who are. You look at the Bucs team we've had the last 2 years. There's been a lot of high-end talent on the team, and I know obviously 1 year was a lot stronger than the other. But you're bringing together a lot of strong football minds with a lot of experience, and you're trying to meld people from different programs together. And with young kids, you're trying to build character. With a men's league team, you're trying to make all the characters fit together, and it's a little bit different, right? I mean, the ultimate goal in the men's league, while the Bucs and a lot of other organizations build a great community culture and a great sense of family, I mean, a lot of the guys on these teams are at the end of their football journey. The goal is to win, right? And I mean, the Bucs kind of culminated that with winning their championship. There was a lot of guys who put anywhere between 5 and 15 years worth of their life into winning that. And so the ultimate goal is winning. And compare that to coaching children. And I've had a lot of success coaching kids, but some of the best memories I have aren't of standing there with a trophy at the end of the year, right? I mean, you're coaching 10, 11, 12-year-olds who come from a broken home or trying to build some character so that they go to school more to graduate or something, right? The goal of being a coach with kids is a lot different. And both unique challenges, both fun and important, but I honestly think you can have a lot more of an impact in society by coaching the young children who are going to grow up, and hopefully you get to see some of them. I've been fortunate enough to see some of the kids I've coached go off to play junior or university, and you're the same, right? In Sylvan, we've had a couple recent guys who've gone off to play university, and that's amazing. But like I said, a lot of the memories I have are, a kid who comes from a home that isn't very happy, and we've all talked about it, and previous people, no matter what team you've had on so far, they've all talked about how football's kind of that escape and that way to get away from something potentially in your life. And I've had a lot of kids, and you've had a lot of kids who that's their 2 hours of freedom right there. And so that's kind of something that's a lot different, right? Your goal isn't necessarily just to win at all costs. And I'm not saying that men's league is win at all costs, but it's a high priority. And you compare that with coaching kids, where winning is a nice secondary goal. And if you do a lot of the things on and off the field right, winning will come. But it's, you're coaching anywhere between 10 and 18-year-olds. It's not your primary goal, right? So
I think
that's huge.
Wow, that's a fantastic answer. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I didn't think you were going to go there with it. So I mean, I really appreciate that. I think what kind of the main synopsis there is like it's just a much greater responsibility because of, as you mentioned, the impact that you can have on kids moving forward. And I know we've both seen that in our lives in this small town of Sylvan Lake, and I think that's why I love living and coaching, and my wife teaching in a small town is just the ability to have that kind of impact on kids that you see for so long and so many years, and the responsibility that entails. And so I appreciate that answer a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure the coaching staff on the Bucs, there's most of the guys who play on that team are also involved in coaching. There's a lot of guys who take that responsibility on. I don't think that's exclusive of the Bucs either. I think you could look at any of the teams in the AFL. The AFL does a phenomenal job of giving back to the communities they're in, and I don't think it's whether it's Grand Prairie that just formed or Airdrie that's been along for a while or the Wolfpack. I'm sure they all have guys involved in the community doing the same thing, right? So I think that's one thing that's kind of amazing is that guys at the end of their football journey are kind of circling back to the beginning, kind of giving back.
I think what we're really doing with this podcast, at least for me, speaking for myself, I know we had a lot of goals coming into this, and I've been open and really open with how much I love the AFL and how much I appreciate the AFL and how much I want to give back. But this podcast has really even widened that gap of how much reach and power and influence our league has on people. We're talking about, Ryan Miller, met his wife through the AFL and got brought to the AFL from Ontario. This is just one guy on this podcast right now, but it's everybody. It has had. That's why I love talking about people's stories, because if we all start to realize and be grateful for, and here's the thing, you can't be grateful for things if you don't recognize that you need to be grateful for things. And I hope that this podcast is making people realize that you've got to be grateful for this league, because if you start breaking down all the people you've met, and all the things you've done, and all the memories you've had that you would not have had without this league, that becomes extremely powerful in your life, a lot different. So I hope that we have that acknowledgement and awareness with this league, and Geoff, you did a really good job of explaining that there, so I appreciate that. Omari, you got anything on that?
No, I completely agree with Geoff on the impact on kids, because it's their goal as kids. It's always I want to go pro, I want to do this, I want to go to this university, and it's like, yes, of course we want to help them get there, but it's the impact you want to leave, and like showing them to be contributing back to the communities and structure, and to look up to people they can look up to and say, wow, I want to take a part of this coach with me. And I know I've done a lot of coaching in the city with Raw, and I guess this helps with the Wolfpack. But the most impactful kids I've coached have always been the ones that have come from those struggling backgrounds, because they're always looking for structure and someone to help guide them, even though they might have a hard shell. As a coach, we look to challenge that, and I know they have their own challenges, but then when you see them at the end of the year, the banquet, all the work, the body work they put in, and they just have changed their life. And it's been awesome to see that for many kids, and I have many examples of that, and it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, go ahead, Geoff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was just gonna say, like, when you coach the high-end kids who are, they come from a good home, they're very athletic, they might have chosen football and they're going to succeed at it, but they probably would have had a path of success somewhere athletically because of the type of athlete they happen to be, right? Like, Teej and I just coached a kid, Cody Peaver, who's at the U of A, and I'm pretty confident based on his athleticism, he would have ended up doing a high-end sport somewhere. Or you look at a Tyler Ledwos who came through Sylvan and he went to the UFC, he would have been a high-end athlete doing some sort of sport. But there's those fringe kids, like Omari was saying, who don't necessarily, they have a hard shell. You kind of have this blessing as a youth coach to spend quality time while you're challenging them, and you're going to eventually break through that shell, right? Like they put up a tough wall because that's potentially what their life experience has made them form. And you have the opportunity to challenge them mentally and physically. And sometimes that combination can break that down. And you can, I guess the blessing for Teej and I is living in a small town, you get to see a lot of them after they graduate and you run into them. could see the impact. If you're coaching in, say, Calgary or something, you're still having that huge impact. You just might not be able to see the results, and we're fortunate enough here to be able to see that. I guess
that's really awesome. Thanks a lot, Geoff. I appreciate that. Ryan, being I'm assuming a new defensive coordinator. I'm not sure if you've done this in the past, but I know you know your defense. I know you know your stuff. But what are you like coming in as a first year coach, transitioning from player to coach? And of course, now you're coaching, a lot of players that a lot of your friends, and I know you've got a lot of support, but there's kind of like, people need to know that, you're the alpha, you're the man, you're the guy making those decisions too. And you kind of have that kind of good attitude about you where you have that confidence and people will know and respect you. But A, how do you plan on doing that transition from player to coach? And B, what are you looking to get out of your defense? What do you want your defensive culture to be like?
Yeah, so it's actually going to be interesting because it's going to be my first time as a defensive coordinator and first time coaching other men, not kids. But like you said, I know quite a few guys that are on the defense, and the guys that have been around me and played ball with me kind of know my pedigree and know that I know my shit when it comes to football. So I don't think there's going to be an issue having them buying into my philosophies. But without getting into too much and giving away how our defense is going to look, I think it's
you can go about that if you want.
No, I'll let you guys find that out. But I think we're going to be very, very fast paced. I want to see a lot of turnovers, be entertaining, to say the least. Lots of opportunity for our DBs to make plays out there. Lots of pressure. Any year that I've been on the Bucs, we've always had one of, if not the top defense in the league or the country. I don't really expect that to change now that I'm running the defense.
Who do you got?
I think we got a good.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. So who do you got coming back? Like what pieces, certain guys are you looking forward to putting out there? What guys have you maybe not met yet? I know you and I both weren't on the part of the Bucs last year, so there'll be some guys both you and I have never met before. So any names that you want to drop here? Any people you're looking forward to? Styles of play that you're looking forward to coach? I know you've got guys like Adam Coons coming back, and you've got David Simons coming back, who's a beast of a linebacker. Ian Ketch coming back. So talk about some of those pieces.
Yeah, Ian. I'm glad that he's coming back. Had a pretty strong relationship with Ian. Like I said, met my wife through him, and the offensive linemen that I've played against Ian know that he's a load to handle.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
Is he number 77?
Yeah.
That dude's strong. I have a quick story with him. I just had my first year. I think it was 2018, and I just remember like pass blocking, and I guess for some reason I just got like matched with him one-on-one, and I just remember him like driving me back, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a dude.
He's farm strong, and man. He's farm strong.
Yeah, he's a freak.
yeah, farm strong. I'm like, what?
Yeah, my first year out here, I raced him, and like
you're pretty fast. Yeah,
I'm pretty quick to pull my own race.
He's fast as fuck. People don't understand how fast he is.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous.
He hurt his leg now. Yeah, he's coming back from a little bit of an injury, but that guy he would challenge people to races and know he would beat them, but no one would have an idea. It was insane. I totally remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he got me with that. But it's nice having him back. Like you said, Adam, Dave. I'm sorry if I can't say his last name right.
Yeah, Simons.
Yeah. I think last year was his first year on the Bucs.
Yeah, Geoff, you can talk about David there a bit.
Well, first,
last year was his first year on the Bucs.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he'd actually never played football before, period. And he was last year just an unreal linebacker for us. He's same thing as Ian. He's faster than you assume. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a linebacker move as quick as he has.
Yeah, and he's a physical specimen. And it's a little side story. I've been liking what I've got his son in one of my training camps that I run, and his little young son, and he's an Adam age player, and he's an absolute beast. And so look out for him in 10 years.
Yeah, his kid is still another year of Adam, and they were already talking about not letting him play.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I've been liking what I've been seeing from him, and like it'll be interesting once we get him to pads and everything to truly see what I'm working with. But I know Travell is coming back, so I got some big plans for
Travell Wisdom.
him.
Yeah, played for the
I
Bucs
know
2021.
Ty, I'm going to be Ty. I know I'll be using you on defense
absolutely.
when I can. But yeah, no, I think we'll be good. Obviously, losing Brandon, it's gonna put a bit more pressure on the defense to, make sure we get some stops and put up points to give Brett that confidence, and so he's not working from behind. But
we're gonna be good, and we're gonna have some
good.
guys. I know, like you've got myself coming back, and we've got a kid named Connor Langford who's a good little DB, and another kid I've coached, and another kid that Geoff has coached for a number of years, and he's got some good athletic talent and is improving every day. And Teej, I believe, is supposed to be back. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Ty, if you're listening, we'd love to have you back. Great halfback, great kid, great work ethic, did really good things for the Bucs last year in a tough year for the Bucs. And so
incredibly underrated football player, actually. And I think the plan is for him to come back, provided he doesn't skewer his legs on any more electrical poles in his job, which kind of kept him out of a couple games last year.
Ty Page, cut that shit out.
Yeah, so it'd be pretty sweet.
Again, we're Ryan's going to be blessed this year because last year was kind of a lean year for us, and we built a lot of new, young, up-and-coming talent and shifted some guys around in positions, but we also have a very strong returning group from our 2021 championship year. So
so I'm really excited, Miller, to have you here and just to bring because I know you as a player are just tenacious, and I know you're going to coach the same way, and you're going to coach with a positive attitude. You're going to support your guys, and your guys are going to support you, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing, if Ty Page comes and him being my strong side halfback, I'm really looking forward to playing beside him and seeing what we can do, because that's a lot of speed on one side of the field, and he's a physical specimen. So I'm looking forward to that.
And like I had mentioned to you, Ty, like this defense that I want to run, it's specifically designed with me in mind if I was playing. So you know how I
do. So.
So
I'm going to say right now, the Bucs defense, I know we lost our quarterback, but the Bucs defense is coming out hard. And like you said, we're aiming to be the best defense in the country. So I know Gabriel and Cold Lake are going to take offense to that, but hey, that's what we do on the podcast. Axsivier, couple things. Your thoughts on Brandon? How do we move forward as a team, and your kind of initial thoughts on him, obviously as his second, Ben was his main guy. You were his number 2 guy in 2021, and you've been there for a long time with him. Your thoughts on Brandon, your thoughts on how you're feeling about that, and kind of your decision to continue on with the Bucs. And then also kind of sell the team a little bit as people who might be listening and might want to come be a part of the team. So two-part question for you.
Yeah. To answer the first one, losing Brandon, it was devastating. Like you had kind of mentioned, it did feel like a little bit of a breakup. Just as far, it felt as if it was something that I just didn't see coming, Usually with these things, when somebody ultimately decides to walk away, you feel like, oh, I kind of saw that coming. With this one, it was just, a random text message, I think, that you had kind of gotten too, right? But after I kind of taken a moment, I can appreciate his point of view, and just understanding how kind of sacred that time with family is. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to step away. Sometimes some of us get some of that back through coaching, and he just kind of felt like it was his time. So if his heart wasn't in it, it just didn't feel like it was going to be a good time anyway, right? As far as, where do we go from here? I think Brett did amazing things last year. And just from the one indoor that I've been to, I think we have a really athletic group of receivers coming here. A lot of really, really good talent, similar to our 2016 team and even our 2018 Bucs teams, right? Which is really, really promising. I think we have so many offensive, creative minds with yourself and me. we can come up with a lot of fun things, and we got Ben still, right? So we got a lot of pieces here, and Brett it's going to be like he's given keys to a new Lamborghini, and you know what? It's going to be a big year for him.
I like that. That's already good. So did you just confirm on the podcast that Ben Nadiak is back with the Bucs?
Yeah, okay. Well, we've been messaging. He's got
okay. I got to message him and get him on the podcast. He's a good conversation too. Yeah. And sell the team to prospective people coming in. Like, what's been your experience over? I've been on the team for 11 years. You've been on the team since 2014. We're two of the longer people. What's great about the Bucs and everything about them?
I think the best thing about the Buccaneers is it's really a strong sense of community. Like Ryan had mentioned earlier, right? He met his wife. This team is something that has truly shaped my life. I can't imagine. Some of my strongest friendships have come from this, AFL team, which is absolutely incredible. I think that anybody that is looking for a place to come and they want to compete, we're going to be right at the top. We lost Lay, but we got a lot of pieces here. This is still a really, really competitive team, and we're going to do some big things. I've been here for, 9 years, and I always stay at the top of the league in receiving. I know that this year is going to be a really big breakout year for you too. So just because of that chemistry you already have with Brett, I'm excited to get some of that indoor work with him after my track season's done. And
for me, it's playing for the Bucs since 2010 and seeing the community that it brings out and the friendships that I've made, and being the greatest part about being in Red Deer is just the small town, the media coverage, the people we get coming to the games. I know Omari, we talked about this earlier on a different podcast, that Red Deer by far has the best fans, the best game day experience. We have arguably the best field. Our field is surrounded by a beautiful pond that people go to. Hundreds of people go to every single day in the summertime just to be at, because it's so beautiful. And our field's right in the middle of that. It's a beautiful new turf field with the beautiful seating and great film, and just you couldn't ask for a better thing. And then on top of that, we're getting hundreds of people to our games, and these aren't just family members. These are people that just want to come and watch football. And on top of that, being the Central Alberta Buccaneers, and now especially with the huge Sylvan Lake connection we're having with Coach Geoff and myself and Ruben Breitenbach, who is the son of Jeremy Breitenbach, who has been the head coach of HJ Cordy for 20 years, is a legend here in Sylvan Lake. His son, who I've coached and you've coached, Geoff, is playing on the Bucs, and Connor Langford, like I said before, and we got a big Sylvan Lake connection. It's a beautiful thing to be able to reach out. There's Panoka with Todd. We've got Stetler kids, and it's just Central Alberta football is so big, and I think the Bucs encompass all of that, and I think the Bucs have even more opportunity than we've ever had. So, Geoff, your expectations of the season, what you're expecting from the team as a whole as the head coach?
I honestly don't think it changes with or without Brandon. Xavier alluded to it, but we have a phenomenal group of talent. We probably have the strongest group of O-line coming out that we've had in a few years. Like we're 11 guys deep right now, and there's some very high-end talent. Our receiving core is still incredibly strong, and I look at what Brett was able to do last year. Obviously, Brandon took the year off, as a lot of guys did after the 2021 championship year, and Brett was on a team. He was a true rookie in the league. He was 18 years old. He actually missed the Wolfpack game because he had to go to his graduation, right? So he was.
I remember hearing this.
Yeah. So when you look at what he was able to do with a team that was short, I mean, there was a couple games we traveled with 18 guys last year, and this year we're probably going to run out of jerseys. So I look at what he was able to do leading a group of 18 men as an 18-year-old kid. And Brandon's already committed to helping spend some field time with him and pick defenses apart. Brett is one of those kids. He kind of reminds me of Tanner Green in a lot of ways, in which this is probably a stepping stone, something bigger for him, right? Tanner Green came to us for 1 year, went off and played at, I believe, Concordia.
Yep.
Getting that. And now he's the starting fullback for the Edmonton Elks. And I see Brett's football journey isn't done. I think this is a 1 or 2 year stop, and he's on to something bigger and better if he wants to pursue that. And so I think we're very blessed and fortunate to have him leading a very talented team. And like Xavier said, he got the keys to a Lamborghini that can be very dangerous. And I know you've already talked to Cold Lake and Airdrie. They obviously have big plans. I think we're right there with them anyway.
I find that to be a really smart comparison. The Tanner Green comparison. It just Brett is, and I've said this to him over the years that you've got to get your film and get out there because his talent is amazing. And so I'm just so happy to be able to get this opportunity. And I like that Xavier said that keys to a Lamborghini because he's got just so many weapons, and with the confirmation that Ben's probably going to be back and myself and Xavier, that's a pretty big thing.
That Ruben is too. He can ball.
Yeah. One thing I want to just dive into, I think Xavier, you just skimmed over. You're in track season right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you, but that's just something now in perspective where, and I know there's different guys in the league who have work and different things, and they might be training or not, but I understand track guys, it's a different kind of speed that they're bringing. So, guys listen to this. Hopefully you're taking notes on people
this,
preparing.
This year's going to be different. In 2021, I was trying to balance in between getting prepped for cross country, which is slow, and playing football. So this year I get to just focus all of my soul energy on football. I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good year.
So what you're saying is you're gonna be this year's Tyreek Hill, the AFL's Tyreek Hill, coming off track. Because I'm familiar with I definitely have watched your film with how you're in routes and everything, and I'm like, yeah, what you're doing, you're different aspects and taking notes from what other guys are doing. So definitely excited to see the package you bring to this year, and I'm sure that the DBs in Cold Lake are looking forward to it. And it's just one thing where we're always looking forward to compete and see.
No, it's going to be a good year. I know Ty had kind of mentioned there's this Ruben kid, and this guy can run. He can run nice routes. Yeah. He's a good receiver.
Yeah, that's Ruben Brainback.
So you mix that in. We got a lot of good receiver talent across the board. There's a lot of things that this offense is going to do that I think we haven't done in years past, and almost kind of, flipping it positive. Maybe this is a good opportunity for the Bucs to change up the offense, make it a little different than it has been in years past, more catering towards some of the talent that we got on the
that leads me into my kind of next question for everybody, which is Omari's favorite, which is the call outs. But I'm going to start here a little bit because this is the Bucs podcast, and so I'm just going to call out and challenge all the defenses in the league, because what you're going to see across the board from the Bucs receiving core is a guy in Ben Nadiak that can't really be covered one-on-one. Next to him, you'll have a guy named Ruben Breitenbach, who you got just like. You'll get used to the name Brett Bilsma. You'll get used to the name Ruben Breitenbach. He is a phenomenally technical route runner who gets open easily and also has speed and size and strength to back it up. Then when you move over to the other side, you have me, and then beside me you have Xavier, and then the next guy over we don't really know yet. I don't know if Matt Lay is coming back, but regardless, you've got, in my opinion, you've got 4-1 receivers across the board. And I'm calling out the league and saying that's the best receiving core in the league. And so regardless of who's quarterback, there's going to be guys getting open. And so the quarterback has to figure out where that is. And I'm Geoff, I didn't know this, so thank you for saying that Brandon has said he's going to come out and help Brett. That is going to be absolutely huge for Brandon once he kind of starts figuring out coverages and what teams are doing. And I'm also going to challenge teams to play man-to-man. So I'm calling out all you defenses, play man-to-man, and then talk some shit. Because none of you motherfuckers are playing man-to-man against us. None of you motherfuckers. Put a linebacker on me. You put a linebacker on me. None of you fuckers are playing man-to-man, so none of you get to talk shit about how you locked anybody up when you're dropping into cover 3 hold and cover 4 hold. So that's my call out. Play man to man before you ever talk to us.
and you know that you can always just hop on defense and shut down the
And here's the thing, I don't want to sit.
So.
Yes, okay, you said it. Okay, I don't. On this podcast isn't about me, but yes, I'm gonna do that too. So I'm gonna then go on the other side, and I will play man to man, and I'll shut that guy down, and then I'll play zone when we need to as well. But that is my call out. Okay, and Xavier, I know the same thing. Play man to man against us. I know you agree with me.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Nobody. I usually get if I do have man, I have a safety on top of me.
Yeah, cover two man doesn't count. Cover two man doesn't count.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, it doesn't matter. I still usually end up leading in touchdowns or receiving yards.
Yeah,
you can check the stats.
I do the stats, so I know that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to. Hey, Xavier, I'm looking up your tracks time here, just to give everyone an idea here. What you guys can keep talking. I'm just gonna find this because the man's saying if he's gonna be the Tyreek Hill of the AFL.
I run the 3, the 2, 4x4, and then 6.
Ooh.
The best would be the 200 meter. Last year in the finals, I ran 22-second 2.
Miller, you got any call outs? Any Dacus call outs? Love you, Nick.
No, I'll leave that one out. But no, I mean, I hope they got the right pieces and have a good team. But no, I think it's going to be a good year. I like what Cold Lake's doing, Airdrie. I think it's going to be interesting. Some of the
I think it's going to be a phenomenal year.
Yeah, like you said, our offense is going to be putting up points, and teams are going to have to try and score against us. So,
Omari, you got anything else for these guys?
One I saw, just diving into this is maybe a little bit of history, but can someone dive into the spice rack?
Actually, you take that one.
Oh, okay. It actually started in 2015 with myself, Jamie Foxx, who played quarterback for us, and another guy, Brent Lapointe. And we just kind of thought it was a funny thing. Our 2016 season, we just had such amazing talent. It was such an unbelievable year. And, we kept the spice rack thing coming. And we decided that, Brandon was our chef. And you know what? We could season up any defense, cook them up. And it just it snowballed from there, where they were taking it quite
T-shirts.
We made these shirts. We made T-shirts that had, whatever was rosemary. We had Cajun. It was just such a fun year, and we were such an unbelievable team. Some great battles with that Fort Mac team. It was a really good year. So that's kind of the spice rack story.
That's fun.
It is fun. Maybe this year we'll have to come up with something new, because this receiving squad.
We definitely need to come up with something new. Absolutely.
He still has one of those shirts, I guess.
I still have it. I wore it in our final in 2021.
Is it sleeveless by now?
Yeah, I think
definitely.
It's now.
Oh man, that's great. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Ryan, I know I'm really excited for you to take over the reins this year. Geoff, I'm excited to get back with you. And Xavier, we've known each other in different parts of our lives for a long time. We worked together for a little bit there. We've played a number of sports together. So
yeah,
it was great to have you guys on, and I'm really looking forward to the season and really kind of growing the Bucs program from the roots here, and with a new quarterback and a new challenge. So anything else you guys want to add before we leave? Anybody?
Well, I just wanted to say, Teej, I find it very impressive that Dave Cuthbertson finds a couple ways to get mentioned in every one of these, and there's always a comment that would make a great podcast, because I know in 2021 we had him out, and like I said, you're managing characters, and Dave is a character, but when you did your actual interview with him, like you kind of got to the root of what he is. And I mean, he's talking about wanting to be home and be close to coach's son and stuff like that. And so, like I said, there's layers to everybody. There's the football persona, but then there's who you are at home. And I just find it very amazing that he sneaks in on every one of these. And there's a story where people want to hear more. Like, you might have to do like a mini.
That guy has literally, aside from CFL, he's won like every fucking championship you can win in Canada.
Yeah,
quite incredible.
Like Alberta.
He is our
Quebec,
our most listened to episode so far. So yeah, people love.
Oh, and he's the only dude that I know that will literally like fly wherever just to play a game of football. Like his dedication to it's insane. And on top of that, he's
Axie, you got anything?
Just beware.
Oh man, hey, listen, I gotta say this. Okay, I've known Axsivier for a very long time. This might be the spiciest I've ever heard you. Like you are raring to go. It's a different. Yeah, it's different. So beware, ladies and gentlemen. Beware. This will be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, everyone watch out because while there's some players who are at work. That's the off season. Some are in the gym. Man's running track and everything. So that I know I like to ensure I take care of myself when it comes to off season. So it'll be an extra little log to the fire to say, hey, I make sure my running's right because I might need to go in and cover Xavier here. And I'm not. I want to say I'm not Tyreek Hill fast.
Play that cushion, Omari. Play that cushion. All right, Omari, where can they find us?
All right. Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in. You can find us on your local podcast platform, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I know there's some other ones out there. You also find us on YouTube here. We'll render that one out and put it up there. So those who are at work and like to have a little something playing in the background, you can check it out there. Our Discord is growing ever so slowly. We're working out how to incorporate that and everything, and it's coming together. But if we were to give us a like, a share, let people know if you got someone who wants to hear this. For those who are in Red Deer, hey, guys who didn't make it out to indoor tryouts, send this to them and say, hey, look, we're cooking something up. I know all the teams are on watch, and this is all leading up to be a very strong and cultivated 2023 season. So looking forward to that. But
Sweet man, thank you. And next week we're going to have Kurt Halland on. This one I know a lot of people have been asking for. Kurt is a wealth of football knowledge, but also a wealth of AFL experience. He started a team. He was president of the league. So I'm very excited to talk to Kurt next. We're going to take a little bit of a break from the team podcast. So we've interviewed team rank 1, 2, and 3 in our preseason rankings. I still have the Bucs ranked at 3 because even though we lose Brandon, we still have a lot of talent, and I have a lot of faith in Brett. So we're going to keep that. We'll have Edmonton next if they want to do it, but we're going to take a couple weeks off of that. We've got Kurt Halland next week, and then we're doing Rayshon Provo the next week from Switzerland because he is settled in Switzerland. So we're going to talk to him there, see how his journey's going, tell us about how beautiful Switzerland is. So I'm really looking forward to that. So thanks to everyone for being on here, and I'll let you guys all know when this is up and running.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.